Does God require that person to be perfect before he trusts in the Lord? Absolutely not, or none of us would make it. I love the song, Just As I Am. What does that mean? You come to the Lord just as you are, with all of our mess and our baggage and our sins and our hang-up. Bring it all to him. And the moment we believe him, the moment we trust him, the moment we place our life in his hands, at that moment, God sees you. Now get this. It sounds too good to be true. God sees you as if you are perfectly righteous, though you're not. He sees you as though you are perfectly righteous. That's what happened to Abraham. Now we could go on and say, also what happens at that moment is God begins to clean up our lives. That's a lifelong process. We'll never gain enough perfection in order to be fit for heaven. Forget it. Don't even try. But God will give to you enough righteousness to make it to heaven. The moment I say, God, I'm tired of running, I trust you. Bam! All of a sudden, God gives to us the righteousness that we need to make it to heaven. Does that sound too good to be true? Well, let me tell you something. You might say, well, anything that free is not worth anything. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Who said anything about it being free? Was God's grace free? Was his love to you free? Is your forgiveness free? No. Jesus paid the price. Now, here's an illustration I often use, and you'll probably hear me say it 2 or 3 times in here, so if you do, just listen to me and bear with me. But it's like a gift certificate. If this Christmas time, I go down here to Belk's and I get a gift certificate for $50, and I say, Sean, here's a gift certificate for $50, and you can take it and go down here to Belk's at South Park and buy maybe a pair of underwear. And a cheap pair at that. For $50. But my point is, you say, oh boy, $50 worth of free merchandise. Is it free? It's free to you. Why? Because I went ahead of you and paid the price. That's it. Somebody loved you and me enough to go ahead of us and pay the price. So that when we are ready to trust him, then yeah, it's free to us because he paid the price. That analogy helps my mind to understand what Jesus did for us. Now, as we go through Genesis, here are some names to remember. Do you remember reading about a fellow by the name of Lot? L-O-T, Lot. Okay, remember him. Abraham's nephew. Lot, oh boy, I'm even embarrassed to even talk about this story. Did you remember the story? Not very pretty, is it? Lot had 2 daughters. And they didn't have any children. And of course, in that day, to not have any children and be barren was about as bad as death. And so they came up with a fiendish plan whereby they got their father drunk. And Lot lay with each one of them, and they incestuously conceived. And each one had a child. Now, test time. What were the names of the 2 sons born to Lot's daughters? I'll give you the first one. Moab and Ammon. Moab and Ammon. Remember those names. You'll hear about them the rest of the way through the Old Testament. Now, okay. Let's speed up just a little bit. And I want to show you something. Do this and then we'll take a break. What I think's happening here is this. Starting with Abraham, God has started a covenant line and a promise line. The hope of the Messiah. The Messiah is coming. Who's he going to be? Well, he's going to be a man, Genesis 3:15. He's going to be from the tribe of Shem, not Ham, not Japheth, Genesis 9:26 and 27. Okay. And so Abraham was of Shem, right? Okay. Now, as we go through the book of Genesis, notice how this line forks at times. Abraham had 2 sons. What were their names? Ishmael Ishmael and Isaac. Now, God loved Ishmael as much as he did Isaac. But Isaac was the one through whom the line would continue. And by the way, from Ishmael came the Arab people. Islam today, the religion of Islam, traces their religion back to Abraham, not through Isaac, but through Ishmael. But the promise, the messianic line runs through Isaac. All right. Now, Isaac had two sons. What were their names? Jacob and Esau. Okay. God loved Esau as much as he did Jacob. However, we see clearly through the story that the covenant line ran through Jacob. Or as it's pronounced in Hebrew, Yaakov. There is no J in Hebrew. Yaakov. Joseph is Yosef. Jesus is Yeshua.